Roar!
Ew. Hide Me by Nailah.
Rarity, help me! They're all crazy!
Shouted Twilight Sparkle as she burst into Canterlot Boutique. Her mane was frazzled and her eyes were wide as she panted heavily, holding a forehook against her chest as she caught her breath.
Darling, what in Celestia's name has happened? You look absolutely...
Rarity paused, biting her lower lip.
Fans! They keep coming to the Friendship Castle! They keep wanting to spend time with me and... While I'm really happy they look up to me!
She tried explaining, as she hurried to lock Rarity's door.
You need some Twilight time?
Asked Rarity as she put a forehook around Twilight's barrel as she gestured for her to come in and sit with her.
I can't tell you how often this very same thing has happened to me. Sometimes you just have to tell them up front. You're a princess, but you're also a pony like them. And every pony deserves privacy. Exactly! Oh, Rarity, I hope I don't upset them hiding like this!
Twilight's shoulders slumped slightly as she kicked the forehook at the ground. She felt Rarity's hoof lifting her chin up to meet her beautiful blue eyes. Twilight found she could get lost in her eyes. Rarity was beautiful, majestic, and fabulous. How did she deal with the pressure and anxiety that came with it? She seemed so graceful and serene in all that she did.
Twilight, I know you value your friendships highly, but there's no shame in taking time to yourself. I mean, I do it all the time. Why do you think I love going to the spa? It's my Rarity time, and you need your time too.
Rarity consoled her, gently petting the top of her mane while nuzzling her cheek.
I just had a brilliant idea. Oh, and what would that be?
Asked Twilight with a slight rolling of her eyes. Twilight felt she knew where this was going. She giggled at the thought. Rarity always had her way of keeping things interesting.
We should go to the spa. Just think about it, you and me with all the relaxation any mare could ask for.
Rarity squeaked, clapping her forehoofs together.
The spa sounds great, but I'd rather just stay here with you,
began Twilight. She looked right into Rarity's bright, sparkling blue eyes.
Are you certain, Twilight? It would be rather easy for either of us to teleport right to the luxury and warmth of being tended to in all the right ways,
asked Rarity, tilting her head to the side, raising one of her long eyelashes.
I'm certain,
Twilight began. She heard the ponies outside of the boutique, gathering around the place like a horde of rogue zombies. Twilight twitched, instinctively grabbing onto Rarity's shoulders, her eyes widening, almost pleading for this all to end. Rarity pulled Twilight into her arms and held around her, breathing smoothly into her mane, running her hoofs through her lavender locks, and shing her. Rarity held her tightly, allowing Twilight to be able to hear the rise and fall of her own heartbeat. Twilight's heart pounded rapidly as she took long breaths, in and out, attempting to calm down. Her shoulders slumped as she craned her neck and nuzzled Rarity's fur without thinking anything of it. Rarity gestured to break the hold with a slight to clear the air. She smiled slightly as she extended her hoof towards Twilight, insisting quietly to follow her deeper into the boutique, to the very back of it, where all her gosh-awful designs hung that weren't ready to be sold, as they hadn't been given enough time, care, and love. She led Twilight to her sofa, waiting for her to crawl upon it. Once she was seated, Rarity came up from the other side, so that their noses were practically booping against the others. Twilight could still hear the fans outside, pounding on the windows with their hooves, begging to get in. She took a deep breath and cast a silence spell around her and Rarity, so that the only pony she could hear was the very pony who had calmed a rapidly beating heart. The more Twilight thought about it, Rarity always had been calm when it came to success and fame. In a way, Twilight looked up to Rarity as a role model, but it was more than that, as she tried to hide the blush forming upon her cheeks. Rarity leaned forward, their noses pressing against one another, as she placed both her front hoofs onto Twilight's shoulders.
"See, darling, isn't this better?"
she asked, nuzzling her.
"You know you can always come to me, no matter what, and the others too." "Yeah, you're right. This is really nice. Can always worry about my fans later. It's not like they're going anywhere."
Twilight cooed, leaning into Rarity's hold once more, giggling.
"Twilight,"
began Rarity, tenderly running her hoof all through her mane. Twilight turned to look up into Rarity's eyes. Her eyes sparkled as she saw the softness of her gaze looking back at her. She blushed, tilting her head to the side, admiring the fabric Rarity had laying to the side.
"Are you blushing?"
Rarity asked, chuckling as she shook her head.
"Oh, darling, you are just precious."
Twilight's cheeks darkened within a deep shade of red, ripe as a tomato on a warm autumn eve.
"Yes. Oh, Twilight, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. We're friends after all. You know you can tell me anything. No matter how crazy it is, I'll listen." "Well, it's just, I've always admired you, Rarity. Your beauty, your work, the way you are able to handle the stress and anxiety that comes with being popular. How do you do it? How... Please tell me your magic." "Oh, darling, it's easy. All you have to do is embrace it. Let them stare. Let them watch you as you prance down the path to success and flaunt. And then, all that anxiety and stress will vanish as fast as a breath of hot air."
Twilight panted heavily as she gasped for breath, her face now red as it could possibly be.
"And never forget, Princess Twilight, no matter how many fans you have, no matter how many ponies want to know you, I will always be right here for you to come to, because I was there first. I was always your biggest fan, darling. You're truly inspiring to us all."
Rarity explained, reaching over and booping her snout. Twilight's lips curled upwards into a soft grin as she giggled and booped Rarity back. Realizing that things would always be crazy, but with friends by her side, she would be okay. Hello, and once again, this is Visual Pony with comment time. And as always, I will remind you that you can support PXProf through the links down in the description below. Every dollar is needed, helps, and is very much appreciated. So now let me get into the meat of the story. Oh my god, let me just say this. I have really tried to preview this story before I went into it, but then things happened and I kind of have not as much time, and I got my COVID shot last week, so I've been feeling under the weather for the last few days. I mean, seriously, the first night after my COVID shot, I was feeling as if I was going to die. Like a 40-degree fever. But today it's coming down. I'm getting better. I mean, my stomach, as you might be able to tell, is still acting up a little bit, as is my throat and my sinuses. But I am getting back into it, and yeah. Also, don't forget, you can always watch me play games at twitch.tv/thevisualpony. But in terms of this story, oh my goodness, it is so cute. But it's true. And believe me, I know the plight of Twilight here. I am by no way anywhere near as famous as Princess Twilight here, but I have had stalkers on YouTube who were even finding my private social media. I mean, the social media that is shared in the description down below is basically my YouTube, Twitter, and my Facebook page I shared at some point, like not my private Facebook page, but my Facebook page that I made explicitly for Visual Pony, for my online persona, and there were people who literally found my private shit, and like the ones where I use my real name and address and all that shit, and I even once had someone call me from the United States and like starting to gush over my audiobooks, and I'm like, dude, that's not cool. I'm at work. Also, your phone bill will be astronomical. Or at cons, I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, are you the Visual Pony that did this and this? I'm like, yes. Oh, I'm such a big fan. Yes. I do not mind coming people up to me and be like, hey, want to talk and stuff, but here's the thing. I'm just a person too. I'm there maybe because I hold a panel, but I'm also there to, enjoy myself, spend time with my friends. Not meaning that, you might not become part of that circle of friends. That has certainly happened. But, respect content creators' privacy. Not every celebrity wants to be your buddy. And that's what I see here in this story. It is really relatable to me. And, that's basically all, friends. That's all for now. And, I'm signing off. You could have listened to this way sooner. It was recorded on the 31st of August, 2021. Visual Pony, signing off.